Hello everybody. In this video I'm going to go over where we did the at the beginning of the month we did the looking at I can't even think right now, the estimated distributions, right? Trying to guess what those distributions are. Of course, in my case, I'm just trying to do formulas and figure out what is the best thing and yada yada. But I wanted to go through what the results of that was. I hadn't had a chance to do that yet. Today I added a couple of things to the right and just put a few finishing touches on here. Please bear with all the colors, especially if you're one of those people that can't stand colors everywhere. And I know this is an absolute mess, but it's just to to go through this and then to tell you what my plan is for this next month. So, just as a reminder, we'll go through these. So, in column AM, let's see. So, right here, this was just the last distribution amount. And then in AO here, this was based on a calculation based on the IV at the time of doing these. So it's not the beginning, the end, or not the beginning or the middles or the weeks or anything, just the IV at the time we did this. And then this right here is the average of these two numbers. And this just to give an average, right? There's a range and then an average, whichever you prefer to look at. Now, these are the numbers that I concentrated on this last time because the month before, which was the first month, I had done, this and done it a little differently. Most of the ones, that were close to what I had was the last distribution and the IV estimate amount. So then I changed all my stuff, changed my average, and then went with this. Then, like last week, or not last week, I guess the week before when I was doing this, I was like, well, I think I'm just going to go ahead and do an adjusted IV, basically looking at what the IV was every week and what they were trying to aim for the week, right? As far as how much they would earn. So I did that just so I could compare it. And then in this column, basically, it took this data plus this and did an average, just, again, just to do it because all we're doing is playing with data at this point. And then this column was my original. So my original was, and actually I say original, but it's not. And now that dawns on me, I saw something earlier and I'm like, that's not how I did it, but it was. All right, so originally, so this isn't original. Original, the way it was because some people said it was the net of the short calls. But it doesn't make sense, especially if they're losing a lot of money on these to have, for it to be that. Because then some of them are negative numbers, right? Of course, we know the synthetics can offset these too, but it didn't take, we have the data here, but we're not taking that into account with those. So basically, the average originally was these two, and then the estimated IV, yeah, so it was those three. So it was the IV estimate and these two numbers. And then it did the average if it was above, 0 cents. I didn't think to use the last distribution amount as average, honestly. I just didn't. I didn't even think, or, that the possibility that a lot of them would match the last distribution or be closest to it when I first did it. So that's why it wasn't included. Which now I'm wondering, because the whole reason for doing this was to compare the average, and that's not even what I did, which I really don't want to include the net trades anyway. So what this column actually is the using the premium, which I had in there before, and the IV, but instead of the net short calls, I ended up doing this last distribution amount, since that was last time what our estimates were closest to. So that's what this average is going to be. Last distribution, IV, estimate based on IV, and the short call premium. And then, of course, in these columns, we have the short call premium only, our net trades, and then the synthetic. So this is just to have all those numbers right here, side by side. And then these colors, as far as, this green, purple, blue, purples, it was just based on how they were before. So these purples were averages. These oranges were based on the actual trades. And then the other ones were just different colors to have different colors. And then, of course, this is our actual distribution in column BE. Sorry, I was trying to keep all of those on the same page so you could see everything at once. So then what I've done on this side, and I did it sort of like this last month. Of course, this is totally different and a lot more colors. But what I did is went through here and highlighted which one was closest to the distribution amount. And then if it was within 5 cents, it was green. If it was over 5 to 10 cents, it was yellow. And if it was more than 10 cents away, it was red. Just, to visually see. So you can see here by just looking at this, all of these are green. Not all of these. Most of these are green. 3 of them are yellow and 3 are red. So you can just, easily see that. But now this is only picking one. So whichever one was the closest. I think there was one. I thought there was that had 2. Maybe after I changed the calculation, it wasn't anymore. But so like this one, 41 and 41, dead on. This one is 9. So, that falls within that 5 to 10 cent range. And then this one was almost like 20 cents. So I did that. And then what I did at the bottom, I just look at the numbers. And then this is green, yellow, red. So the one that had the majority of the greens was the one with the short call premium, which was funny because last month, and, that's what I was basing I was like, okay, this is the premium I received, so I am going to just go with that number. I'm not even going to come up with my own number because my number is not going to be as good as any of these calculations. And then maybe one out of the premium. So to actually see this month that we had 5 here with 4 of them being in the green category and 1 being the red, that was surprising to me. Then the next one would be the adjusted IV that I did this time just to see what it would do. It actually had 3 greens, but then that was it. But it was like second place, so to say there. But then the average of the prior distribution in the IV, it had 2 greens and a yellow. So really not that great looking over here. If anything, maybe our number one, which was the short call premium. And that's why that's green and yellow and red, which match the same colors down here at the bottom. So nothing crazy. But again, this was just picking the best one, the closest. So then I decided on the other side here, I've done it a little differently. And I'm just looking at all of the trades and not who got the closest. And you can see, sorry, I got to get our Zomo back on there. And in this case, we got a bunch of different colors and stuff. So these are the differences. So we can see it easier. I know I did it different last month, so I'm looking at it, trying to figure out what I did. I did do this the other day. But this is to see where they were off. So, and I did not go back through this one. I don't even know. Did I even manually color these? Because they're all completely wrong. Completely wrong. I don't even know. Because these should be all of them, right? If it was green, if it was within 5 cents. It might be the only one. That's actually what made me catch it. And then do we have any under 10 cents? Nope. All right. And then, yep. 16. I'm just looking at some of these that had some reds. Okay. So where did I don't even know what happened here. But whatever. So here I highlighted all of the reds. I mean, all of the greens. If it was within 5 cents, all of those got highlighted, unless they screwed up somewhere else because I did these manually. I guess I should have just done a formula for the reds and, I mean, shoot, I keep saying red for the green and yellow, but I did not. That's irritating. But anyway, if they were within 5 cents, they all got green. All of those got green. If they were, above 5, so 6 to 10 cents, then I colored all them yellow. Then what I did, I looked at the lines that didn't have any, I looked at the ETFs that didn't have any kind of color, and then I just found the one that was closest to it and then colored that red because that means it was more than 10 cents away. Which, I mean, isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it might be if you're looking at Zomo, that's always 30 cents, versus looking at, Coney or Misty, that's $2 or $3. So it just depends on what you're looking at. But I just wanted to have a number on each one. So even these reds, one's 16 cents, one's 12, one's 13, and this 13's on NVIDIA. So yeah, it just depends. But anyway, I wanted to make sure they all had a number. So I did the same thing here. All had a highlight. I did the same thing here. I went through and highlighted them, and then I summed them at the bottom. But now I feel like I need to double check them. Yep. Because in this IV estimate, I have 4 yellows, 2 greens, and a red. Okay, I just don't have the red marked. And then, so in our average, we have 5 greens, 4 yellows, 3 and 4. I don't know what that just was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 greens and 3. And then 2, and then 1, 2, 3 and 2. All right. So, yeah, I just like to double check those since after finding an error. So yeah, lots of greens and yellows on here, so it's sort of surprising. And as you can see, I know I don't have freeze panes on up there, but the one that did the best with 7 greens and 3 yellows, so that means out of the 19, this one got 10 of them within 10 cents. And this actually ended up being this average, which I had put original, but it's really not truly the original because I did replace the net short calls with the last distribution amount. But 10, so that means over 50% it got within 10 cents. And then the short call premium is second. It got 7, and see, I see an error. This should be yellow. Making this 6. See, if I had that as a formula, I wouldn't have messed that up. That's what I get for manually doing things. Let me scan both of those, and let me scan this other winner just because. All right. Whew. All right, so we have 6 greens, 3 yellows, and a red in these short call premiums, which I guess from here on out it'll be called short premiums because we'll start having short ETFs and they're short puts. So slowly transitioning everything over to short versus short call. But anyway, so we have 9 out of the 19, almost 50% within 10 cents of the actual distribution here. And then we had one red one, which was the closest than anything else, which was which was 12 cents. So just a little bit over there. So so it's very similar to this average one. And then the next one here was actually the average of the prior and the IV, with 5 green and 4 yellow. But I only have one average on my spreadsheet. So going forward, I look to see, well, where am I going to go forward? I will not do this other average because this average did better. And then, of course, I had the short call premiums in there to begin with. It's just that none of them were close except for maybe one last month, the month before. So this is just the second month of us actually reviewing these and looking at this data. So that will be included back in there. And then, of course, we already know that the last month, the last distribution amount and the IV estimate were the closest. So the last distribution IV did better last month, and this month the short call premium did better, along with this average, and this average is the average of these other three that we just talked about from last month and this month. So that's why those are in blue at the top also. Well, and that's just, that's it there. I'm going to look at a different section. But that's basically what this was here to see how things were, and that's why there's lots of data. And then another thing I did, if a line before the video, if the line had a whole bunch of them, a lot of them were close, like this one, Apple right there, Tesla, Zomo at the bottom. Then I sort of hid them so I could take out some of those that were pretty much across the board and look to see what I had left, and then just sort of compared them to each other. But I think with the last month's distributions being closest to the last distribution at IV, and this month's being the short call premium with the average of those three, I think those are the best way to go forward. Which basically means I just have to change my formulas and stuff to be back adjusted to these. And I say back, but we know that average one's just a little different. And then I did this only because I did this last month afterwards, looking at things also. And honestly, it just, helped reiterate. But what I did last month, trying to figure out in the ranges and stuff in the spread, and I guess I shouldn't say range on the top of this. This is probably should just say spread. Not that it matters. This is just me throwing things on a spreadsheet, right? So copy. Earlier, I just, for the life of me, I couldn't think of the word I was looking for there. But, this is the minimum and the maximum looking at that last distribution, the 30-day IV, and the short premium received. And this is our range on, the other sheet when we're looking at it between this and this. That's the range. And then I guess what I should do, I should have probably put the spread next between those. I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm going to leave it. And then this is the spread. So the difference between 66 and 89 is 23 cents. And then in the middle where it says falls, this is just where does that distribution amount fall? And it's so far over there, I can't even bring it over here to show you, unfortunately. Yeah, so I don't know about the phone users here. But this is just saying, does it fall in that range, below the range, or above the range? So, instance AIYY was 41 cents, which is like the lowest, or right, like 1 cent from the lowest, 41. So, it fell below this range over here. And then, so then here we have our spread, which we talked about, but then over here below, well, how far was it below or out of the range? Which now that I've named that spread, I should change that. But so it was 41 and 66 is the difference of 25 cents. And the way I did this last month, and it's sort of similar to how I've done these, but if it was, well, if it was within 5 cents, I didn't even color it. But if it was like here, we see 10 cents, I have it yellow. And if it was above, it was red. I did this similar to last month just to see where they fell within the ranges and everything to get an idea how, you know, how good looking at the range and stuff works based on the criteria, that we're looking to do or that we did. And this right here would be based on those columns that I said I'm going to go back to or I'm going to go to next month. But you can see a lot of them fell in. 5 of them were outside of this range with 2 red and 1 yellow. Now, the spread matters also. Now, if we look like NVIDIA here, NVIDIA, the spread is $1.60, and that's big, but that's, it's a big one, right? It's going to have possibly a huge spread like that with so many different factors and some of the payouts. Same thing would be like Coney as well. Misty, of course, we've only had 2 of those. Heck, even with that, we were still only 5 cents outside that spread. I think this was the 258 was based on the 30-day IV, I think. But anyway, so that's what this is. It's just another way to be able to view it to see how accurate the data is that we're doing. And then over here on the right, what I did for this month, which again did great last month, but I took that last distribution and just that 30-day IV to see what it would look like, and it looked bad this month compared to how it was last month, just using those 2 by themselves. So, yeah. So anyway, that just helped me decide that, yes, I was going to go to those other criteria and whatever. And I'm sure a lot of you probably don't care. This is way too much in depth. But if you didn't want to see this when you first opened this video up, I assume once you saw all those colors and all those numbers, you probably would have ran for the hills versus sticking around. But anyway, I just wanted to get this out. I know it's a couple of weeks late, but I guess better late than never. And then it also gives you an idea what we're going to be looking at in our weekly videos, because that also means, because we use the data within the weekly, that's what we're using when we get at right before the distribution. We're using that same thing, so because it has all the data on it and the ranges and all the other stuff, and it's just a way for us to be able to use one sheet twice when you're already used to it too. I don't have to have another sheet. But anyway, I don't know. If you want to tell me how you feel or your thoughts, feel free to. But I will talk with y'all later. Hopefully, even if you hate the fact that you just sat through this and you're wondering why you did, hopefully you appreciate the fact that, I'm following up with the data. I'm looking to see what happened. I'm trying to look to what, the best to continue to do in the future and adjust as we go. Of course, just a reminder, this is only the 2nd month we're doing this, or that we have results from doing this. But I think, I don't know, I think we're going to get better with this. At least nail down this a little better. But anyway, thank you for joining me. Thank you for sticking it out, especially if you didn't want to. And, but I will talk with y'all later. Thanks again. Bye.